Welcome and thank you to SableCast, where we highlight minority-owned businesses and nonprofits across the nation, bridging the gap between businesses and lifestyle using education, financial literacy, health, and wellness. I am Justice LaRue, and today we have in the building some amazing people. We have Adam Hopkins, who is the owner of Moderndojo Branding and Design, and his partner, Miss Victoria Griffin. Okay, they are going to tell us a little bit about their business and everything that they're doing, everything they got coming up. So if you are interested in what's going on, make sure you stay and listen. Okay, so thanks for coming in.
Of course, thank you for inviting us. This is good. This is gonna be a good time.
Yeah, it really is. Adam and Victoria, could you tell us a little bit about Moderndojo?
Yeah, so Moderndojo is a branding and marketing agency that focuses on early stage startups, specifically within the Black community, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of that's definitely our target. But hey, look, we service everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Black people are our target, our people are our target, but we service anyone that's looking to have a edgy, cinematic kind of vibe to their branding, their look and feel. So that's what we pretty much are.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So before we get too into it, how did this come about? Where did Moderndojo come from?
Great question. So the name literally was like, it just popped up. I was working at so right out of college, I went to school in Southeast Missouri State down in Cape Girardeau. And right out of college, I got a job at like a local newspaper. I think it was the Southeast Missourian. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And had this epiphany that like, man, I really want to start my own thing. And went through some thoughts about like what to call it and stuff like that. And then it was just like I just wanted something that was really funky and like something that was like memorable, right? And just from my background in branding and marketing, I knew that the more disjointed, so to speak, quote unquote, the name would be, the easier it is to trademark, the easier it is to get registered online, the easier it is to just make it be its own thing. So, came up with Moderndojo. Funny thing about that name is I didn't know what it meant until almost 3 years later. So
What would that be?
Well, so modern is that's another way of saying new, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then dojo is Japanese for school or path or way of thinking.
Interesting.
And so it's a new thought, new path, new school, right? And so it's funny because that didn't come to me from I didn't just sit down like research it. It just literally just dropped. Listen, I live my life on downloads, right? I do not have it all figured out. I will never project that. I have some stuff figured out though, but that came to me and it was it's been kind of just a gift ever since. So,
Okay. All right, Moderndojo. Is very interesting. So you went to Southeast Missouri State, Missouri State, and you took. What did you take?
So I went to school initially as graphic design illustration, so it was a BFA.
Gotcha.
I ended up, when I got the job at Southeast Missourian, the newspaper, I dropped out. So college dropout, that's me. But I went back and grabbed just a gen ed, and so I've been just rocking with that. But I do have like about, it was like 120 hours in that BFA, but I just couldn't. Listen, lithography and ceramics, I didn't care about that. I had nope. So I'll just go ahead and exit stage left. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So Victoria, can you tell us your position and how you became a part of Moderndojo?
Yes. So I'm the project manager here at Moderndojo.
Okay.
I kind of jump around and dabble in a lot of the different areas that we have services in. I'm the second shooter when it comes to some of the consulting from a creative standpoint and or from a business standpoint. I jump in and just give my input and just from my experiences, just kind of talk about because I worked in a lot of different industries.
Okay.
I can look at it from kind of like the consumer side and also from the business side because I'm a business owner myself. I actually have my own jewelry business that I've been running called Patula that I started 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was started off as a passion project, honestly. When just me, paper clips, and some pliers. But yeah, from there, just got into the business lane from personal business and met Adam. I want to say has it been 2 years now?
Going on.
Oh, wow. We met about 2 years ago on a project we were both working on. And it was my skills for the time were brought on because it was close to the marketing and branding and kind of social media lane. So, we ended up getting partnered on the project from there and kind of just realized we worked really well together and, decided to go from there. So, yeah, project management is my thing. But I definitely love to, get in on the creative side as well.
All right. So you said that you were involved in this company for 2 years. But looking up, doing my own little research, it does look like it started in 2012.
So, yeah. So 2012 was when I said, hey, I'm going to actually, that's when Modern Dojo popped. Come on, research, by the way. 2012? Yeah. But so I didn't LLC it until 2015. And then I believe that was December, I think, something like that. Whenever I look back the articles of the corporation. But yeah, so it has been around for a while, but I really didn't. Modern Dojo was almost more of a moniker than a business when it first started.
Gotcha.
Right? And so at the beginning, it was more so a way of having something other than just my actual name for the freelancing that I was doing, right? But it wasn't until I probably say a little bit after V a little bit before that, I should take it back. So there's been a lot of branding iterations of Modern Dojo, but when V came on, that's when it started to just take a different energy. And it became something that I finally felt was worthy of being able to stamp it as okay, this is, first off, you literally can't call something a business an agency if you only have one person. So having a team member elevates not only just the ability, the identity of what you can call it from a business standpoint, like the paperwork of it, but I think it added so much more life and kind of like just energy to it as a whole. So where we are now is kind of in a place where we're literally trying to iterate again on top of that. So towards the end of last year, we chose to spin down the business a little bit to kind of make way for better processes, better branding, the whole thing, just kind of reiterating the whole business. And I think that's where we're on the precipice of that next stage in Modern Dojo right now. So yeah.
Okay. So since you guys are now partners together, can you explain how it is working with each other, the new experiences that you have had working together, especially as male and female? Has that had any issues within the business?
So
You want to go first?
I'm here now. Yes, right? Because at the end of the day, and here's the thing. I think the problems that we
start with the problems first. Come on now.
Get them out the way.
So there were communication problems, right? Because so here I am, a seasoned creative, and also I've had a lot more conversations. I've had a lot of conversations with, and even that, there's a perspective that I had to shed as far as what it means to communicate effectively with people that aren't corporate, corporate headhunters or whoever I would be on the other, whoever it is on the other side of the phone at another business. You talk differently with them versus how you talk to someone inside of your business.
Exactly.
So I was, even though I've had training in management in a corporate setting, this wasn't a corporate setting. And so all the things that would protect how do I say it? All the things that would check you as a person as far as like how you communicate, they were gone. And so you have this free reign, which has its benefits and has its problems with it as well. And one of the things that I found that I had to do very early on was listen 10 times more than I spoke. And I still struggle with that. But I think that was something that was a huge part of my learning as being able to coach, lead, stand in the gap for the whole thing for Victoria. And it's been a journey, but it's a journey that I would never swap out for any other experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a learning process.
Absolutely.
It's like it's an ongoing thing. I think is the biggest part. Like, you can't ever go into any business situation, especially because we didn't know each other before we started working with each other. We met, and then literally from that project it was like, oh yeah, let's go. Like, oh yeah, this is a match made in heaven. Like we got all we have a bunch of of the same ideals and the same understandings of business and what makes I say a business good or great or marketable per se. But we have from the creative lens, we come from two entirely different backgrounds. He's like he said, way more corporate, way more polished, and I've been being in a lot of different lanes. I've been in that field a little, but I needed a lot more coaching and a lot more support there. But also I brought to him kind of like that. You've been a creator for a lot longer than me, but you haven't been on the raw side of it, like in the nitty gritty, where the community,
I avoided it at all costs for a long time.
Yeah, that's more my area because I work with a lot of nonprofits. I do a lot of volunteering. Working with a lot of community organizations. So it's you rub elbows with a lot of people and a lot more, so that type of communication expectation is there, and you have to be a little bit nicer with your delivery with certain things. And as we know in corporate America, that's, you're very blunt. And I definitely, I actually have a background in social work. So you have to have a little bit more empathy, or at least you try to apply more empathy. And I don't know, you got a smile on your face. So, I had to.
That was not my shit.
I see the head shake over
that
here.
Was not my shit.
I had to apply that, and that's probably the only way I won't say the only way. One of the biggest ways in which I've helped teach in terms of delivery and even just how to apply that to the business, because not even from just a communication standpoint between the two of us, but from how you communicate with the clients and everything. It's been an amazing thing to adapt to the different types of clients we have, and between the two of us, I'd say we've definitely grown in our communication styles, and even just we've highlighted in each other different things from a communication standpoint that were more difficult to traverse, that we needed to grow from a standpoint of our own personal development. That's the biggest part. I didn't realize how many different character traits I had that not only were counterproductive from a business standpoint, but were counterproductive from a friendship standpoint, a communication standpoint. So it's been a journey, but like you said, I wouldn't have changed anything.
Okay. Well, I love the energy in it. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that it's just been 2 years between you two, just from the conversation and being around you for the few minutes that we did before starting the recording. So going to the website, moderndojodesign.com. And when you go on there, there's a beautiful video. There's just so much going on. Can you explain to the listeners what they would see, what to expect when they go to moderndojodesign.com?
Yeah, first thing you're gonna see is this young lady right here next to me, and the reason for that is because that was the very first time that she had been, I believe, been on a camera in the context of a model. Was that is
Really?
That right?
I believe so. Yeah. That's
It didn't look like the first time.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, I think that was what you said too. Then it's you've never done this before.
Yeah, and then I never. The interesting part is so that video is history, right? I had never shot anything, and it looked like that before. So that was the very first time. That was a point of graduation for my creativity. That was for us as a business. So, but they'll see that video, and they'll scroll down, and then start kind of seeing a little bit more of who we're there to serve and how we serve and stuff like that. But then they'll start to see basically 3 sections. One, kind of speaking to the photography side, and then you start seeing some stuff about video and the web and stuff like that. And then if you like what you see, there's a portfolio part on there too. But it really just comes down to, if you like what you see, go to our website, check it out, and then there's a schedule call button right at the top right. Just get on the phone, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. So I see that it's a breakdown of certain categories. You have identity and expression. So you have cinematic videos, photos and videos. I see design and branding. So you do graphic art and design.
Yes.
Marketing and web. So you do create the websites as well. And so can you explain the process of working with you guys, with Modern Dojo?
Yeah. So first thing, going back to kind of like what they expected. So the first part is scheduling a call. We've gone back and forth about having like a really, really like lengthy form. What we've discovered is that most people who are again, we service early stage startups for the most part, right? And we can service bigger, and the budget's got to match and stuff like that. But anyway, so first thing, they schedule a call, and then V or I will make sure that call is confirmed the day of, and then we'll jump on the phone. The first thing we do from there is just a 30-minute conversation to figure out if this is going to be a fit. A lot of times, the way of approach to a project doesn't fit a lot of people's price model. It doesn't fit their style of communication either, and so we're not for everybody. That is not, and we're okay with that, and we want people to be okay with that too, right? And if we have someone in our network that makes sense, we'll defer you to them. But have a conversation with us. If it is a great fit, great. Then we schedule, like we send you a proposal, and we walk through that proposal with you and see if it makes sense. Sometimes it's about like a 5 to 6 page proposal about like what the project is, the scope of the project, detailing like the contract and stuff like that. And then you sign to get back to us, and then send the invoice, pay the invoice, and then we schedule your onboarding. So it's a 90-minute call to really pull out your why for the most part, like the biggest reason for you wanting to work with us specifically. Well, not even necessarily us specifically, but right. But
the essence of who
who they are, right? Because realistically, so let's hunker down in that spot for a second, because we have a process called the Dojo Ikigai, and we use that process to extract a lot of the things that block people from having success in their business. So again, we're working on early stage Black businesses primarily. A lot of Black businesses are ran by Black people who have trauma, and that trauma obstructs their ability to see realistic, to even believe how big their vision can be. And when we get a chance to sit down with someone and say, hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but have you thought about like the next 50 years of your business? Have you thought about what you're going to say when you're in an interview at CNN or at an interview with KSDK or wherever it is, at an interview with Justice LaRue, right? What are you going to say in those moments where someone pings you with a really difficult, precise question? Then now we have to start digging into the messaging of your brand and preparing that messaging to make sure that you dictate your narrative before someone else does. Because there will be a narrative. No matter what you do, no matter who you are, there will be something said about who you show up as. And if you're unequipped by the time you're done with us, we failed you. But you may have also failed yourself because you didn't accept the fact that you had to get through some things to even see that I need to change how I show up. And so what we do with the Dojo Ikigais is there specifically to prime people for the journey that's ahead of them as a business owner, that's Black, that's minority, that's trying to make sure that they own and control their own narrative before someone else does.
Okay. All right, so looking at the website, it does say Modern Dojo is a branding and marketing agency specializing in brand identity and expression through graphic design, photography, video production, and digital marketing. Now, marketing really is the main, the main part, the stomach of a company. You really just have to get what you do. You have to get your product out. So what are some tips that you could give, or that you will give to someone that is starting their own company? Is that something that you can
Absolutely.
give?
Ooh, hold on. You got the invoice ready? No, we got a bill yet. No.
So I'm gonna let V start off with her perspective on
We're
that.
gonna break them off.
Yeah.
Some marketing tips. Okay. You yourself. This is probably my biggest thing, and the main thing that I always give as advice to new business owners, anyone who wants to have a business, especially in this day and age. You have to be marketable. Even in the way you present yourself in a day-to-day interactions, but especially online, the way your brand starts from most people's perspective is when they Google you. If you're attached to the business at all from a visual standpoint, they're going to search who you are and try and see through who you present yourself to be if they believe that their business or your business is for them, and if they identify with the values that you portray online. That's one of the biggest things. Like, I genuinely wish back in high school when they were like, you can't just be putting everything on Facebook, I would have listened. Because those are the things I've gone down, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, the Facebook memories pop up, and you're like, I need to go back and delete this, like, me in a bikini, oh no. Like, I really would have wished that I would have taken that advice and committed to that fully, because that's the first viewing that some people have to your business, is how you present yourself. And if you're not on par or even aligning with how you present your brand online, or what the ideals that your brand has, it's going to be the first thing that's going to push somebody away from wanting to transact with you.
Exactly.
And you ain't making bread, you have no business. So identify and align with your brand from a visual perspective in all ways possible. That's my first thing.
Okay.
And I would 100% agree with that. Interestingly enough, though, one of the things that I think every business should think through when it comes to marketing is, how can you not yourself do it? Like, you shouldn't do your own marketing. And if you are going to do it, then you have to find systems that can automate that. Because right now, we do not market because we just don't have the bandwidth. What we've been blessed and we've been fortunate to have people that have seen our work and have wanted to transact just off of that. But that isn't something that, the only reason why that's there is because I've put the blood, sweat, and tears. Like, the website, I built that. Right? I built every photo you see, I took. Every video you saw, I recorded, I edited, put. So that website, the presentations, any presentations you see online is directly from me. Even the photo of me, right? That we have in this ad that you put up. I took that with an iPhone.
Okay.
But no one can tell that because I know how to. You give a ninja a rock or a sword, he's gonna show the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's one of those things where it's like, to kind of condense it, if I were to give a person starting off their business the best marketing advice, the first thing I would say is be crystal, and I mean crystal clear on your why. Like, the marketing can be built around that, because that your why is going to infuse your vision statement, your mission statement. They are different, by the way. Your brand statement, your the whole look and feel of this thing. So for me, it's kind of like sticking to the starting with the simplest thing first, which is your why, and then being hyper authentic. I know it sounds like odd, but being extremely authentic with why your why is your why, and never defer from it. Because as you market, as you grow as a business, there are going to be so many things that are going to try to tip you one way or the other on your views about stuff, your, what kind of contracts you're willing to take, what kind of contracts you should walk away from, which would technically be the second thing, be okay with saying no. And those would be probably the two things I would leave with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone had their own business and they were interested in reaching out to you, would the best form be through the website?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so once again, that is moderndojodesign.com. Now, I know you were saying that you were working with mainly black businesses. Do you do anything as far as customer service or, anything, well, not customer, community service?
Yeah.
So anything that you are doing with community service within, the community locally or?
Yeah, so one of the ways that we utilize our ability to actually make an impact with people who are from I'm more like a social standpoint, is by providing services that are either for free or significantly discounted.
Okay.
And so we've worked with we worked with a couple nonprofits, we worked with a couple profit companies. I've personally been really active, and she's even kind of Victoria has actually been really instrumental in kind of helping me see that side of the business. Because at first, I to be really honest with you, I didn't give two shits about community. That wasn't my thing.
He's a we can curse, right? We can curse.
Yeah.
He's a fuck you, pay me guy.
Real shit. But it's funny because as around the time that me and Victoria met, I was in a position where I was giving so much, and people were taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
And so there was a healing that had to take place in order for me to even consider community, right? Because it's a lot of times people weaponize that. They weaponize your desire to help, to give, to spend time, to elevate brands, and then when you go from that space to trying to, okay, how do I do this in a way that's effective and not let my traumas lead, right? How do I get there and give to people in the right way and not be waiting for the other shoe to drop in a situation. So what we've done is say, hey, here's some specific parameters that we have for helping people. If it's a nonprofit, we take 10% off the whatever price tag we have. And that's because at first off their taxes have been away, which shows up as about 10% off. And then the next piece is, we have new customer pricing that we can turn off or on depending on the account. And so if we feel like a customer is in really need, and then plus we spread it out over time. But as far as literally we had a young guy that called in that was looking to have his website set up, and it was going to take him a year to pay. Okay. Right? And it's because you're young, I think he was less than 25, young black kid trying to just start an apparel business. We'll work it out. But that's how I sort of communicate. In my opinion, you being able to control your own paycheck, that's the ultimate empowerment. Anything else is more ideological, and that's fine, but the hard impact is gonna exist when you have control over your revenue. And anything outside of that can be a distraction, in my opinion. But that's just me.
We do have the part where we specifically have interns that we bring in and from the volunteer side, we bring people in. We especially the youth, teach them different skills. We're working on something now specifically to reach out to youth that are looking to gain skills in photography and videography. So if you have a camera or if you have access to a camera, sessions where you can come and get the basics of the skills of the trade, learn some what you want to look for, just to make sure that you're taking a good photo. If you are looking to get involved from a branding perspective or learning how to help from a business consulting standpoint, that's a really big field right now for young black creatives who don't necessarily want to enter the corporate world, but who want to have their hand in it and be able to consult. It's a way where you can bridge the gap, still be an entrepreneur, but also be your own person and be your own business. So we have the ability to speak to that and like kind of offer some of the tips of the trades and some of our connections, to kind of help them from a mentorship standpoint, just so that they understand that how we had to come up. We had to really rely on the people around us for the information and for them to take the time to want to give the information and to give it freely and to give it with the understanding that at the end of the day, we are only here because someone took that time for us and with us. And so it's just as important to make sure that we spend that time giving it back and, making sure that we support them and support the community from that standpoint.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's big in my heart. Like, I'm always trying to make sure that we, even if the client, gets exactly what they need from a documentation, from a, an actual service standpoint, I want them to walk away feeling good, feeling like they have learned something about themselves in the process of learning about their business and where their business needs to go. So
and carving out the clarity around their vision, so they can. So this is where we kind of both align. Where I don't want to leave a single client in a circumstance where after they work with us, they're still unclear about how big your vision can be. And that for me, that's the greatest robbery of the Black community, is that oftentimes the world tells us that we can only exist in this small, contrived box, and it's like, nah, you can create a business, you can have an idea, you can own a tech company, you can do. There's no limit to what you can do, but you have to address specific things in your life that could potentially block you from that vision, and some of that a lot of times falls in with waiting for permission. For someone to say that, hey, you can be great. Sometimes that's in the imposter syndrome scenario where I've found myself actually in these positions and I have no clue how to really navigate it. So, but because I don't know, for some reason that discounts my ability to actually perform. No, not the case. And so those are some of the things that I think we both really fight to make sure that our clients have no issue with having by the time they're done with us. So
we got to get past that ourselves, though.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Literally, yeah. That's one of the biggest things I'll say, because I was a big skeptic about, going into I've always been like, one woman, band. I'm going to do it myself. So I was really skeptical about going into partnership with anyone alone, being an ally from the standpoint of the things you face as an individual in a business standpoint as a Black person, but two headstrong, pretty outspoken Black people walking into a room with a vision and asking you to have faith in us. I definitely had my reservations, but there was just a strength and a power and the ability for us not only to bring those skills and resources to the community and align it with the ability to make them see the value in themselves. That was my biggest takeaway with how do you make a business better is having the thing you first told me was you have to identify a problem and then identify whether or not you have the ability to fix that problem and then identify how you fix the problem and then therein lies your business. So, but in that you have to address the things in yourself. From that me and you, Adam, go back and forth every day about making sure we're holding ourselves accountable and keeping each other in check as well as keeping ourselves in check from the standpoint of making sure we keep that in the forefront. If you spiritually align yourself to the ideas of what you want your business to be, you cannot fail. So that's really what we try to make sure that all of our clients,
that's
have a takeaway.
And I just want to add one thing to that, because people take my business failed as I failed. No, that's a lesson, and that's it. So I just want to add that part.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you said that you do have mentorship or you do have interns within your company. If there was a young teen or a young adult that was interested, is there a way they can contact you guys, or is there what would someone do to be able to get involved within your company?
So if you can reach out to hello@moderndojodesign.com, that would be how we would basically respond to that email. And that's pretty much...
You do mine as well.
Yeah, or projects@moderndojodesign.com. That's Victoria's email. But I think the one on the website is hello@moderndojodesign.com. So
Yeah, that'll be the one that pulls up.
that or schedule a call, whichever one. Yeah.
Okay.
And because there's one thing that should be associated, like the subject, like what would you want to discuss on a call? So if it's internship, by all means, hit us up.
Okay. All right, so we have moderndojodesign.com. I do have an address for you guys, 921 North Spring.
We need to update that.
Okay.
So we
pull up now.
Right. We just moved. We went to 4220 Duncan. We're at Cortex.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just moved into that space. There you go.
Okay, so is this space a brick and mortar someone can walk into looking for?
It's a co-working space.
Okay.
So I mean, we're not like we wouldn't do like a retail approach.
Gotcha.
Set the appointment, give a call, and then if it makes sense to come by, cool. Ain't no pull-up seats. No, that's not gonna be a thing. But but if you like I said, just give us a call. We'll work something out because I don't know you niggas. Nah, I mean this it is what it is, man. This is a black business, G. I don't know you, cuz. Pull up, I might have to pull out. What the fuck you mean?
Oh, stop. Oh, my goodness.
Bing, 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 bong. What the kids say today? Bing, bong. Yeah. So don't show up like that, G. Call first, just like you do anybody else's
Shoot a
trip.
text.
Call before shoot a text, email.
We try.
Shit, an eagle, motherfucker. Don't just pull up. Anyway,
Headway pull up.
keep going. Yeah, we good. Next question.
Well, speaking of text and email, what are your contact?
Contact information. So you can. I give you my. With that being said, I'm still giving out the. Oh no, we do have a new number. Hold on.
Look, technology.
We do have. Hey, we just
Look
at God.
Why he's getting that number from his contacts.
314-764-7009.
Say it one more time.
314-764-7009.
009.
314-764-7009.
All right, so there's the address. There's the number. There's a new address. If you want to look them up, they are at moderndojodesign.com. You have an Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter?
Yes, all at the same thing, Moderndojo Design.
Okay.
Primary email, you want to give that? You want to give your email out?
Primary email would be projects@moderndojodesign.com.
Ah, you going to blast me like that? Hey, okay. That's me.
Yeah. That's the primary email. And then you can reach me directly at adam@moderndojodesign.com.
All right. So if you don't have an ink pen, it was project@moderndesign.com? Projects. Okay. All right. So I know you were speaking of being there for a young adult or teen that needed some type of insight. Can you think back of when you were in that position?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about maybe an experience that you had.
I think one of the things that I wish, and I was literally just talking about this, that I wish that someone would have told me was how to structure the finances of my business. Right? So like if you make $10 in your business, put at least $1 away for marketing. At the very least, every single time you make any money, put something directly away for marketing. The next thing would be and so this is a weird thing. So some people would say, you need to have startup cash to start your business. I would say, okay, so not everyone has that. So a lot of times what you have to do is you have to work and then build up enough capital, and then as you're saving money, get to the point where you're investing that money in some way so it starts to give you dividends. So it pays you back. And then when the dividends outweigh your earned income, like your passive income outweigh your earned income, that is the moment that you transition into going into business. That's what I wish I had done. Because it takes to really be in good solid standing, you have to have about $30,000 to $40,000 really to begin, at least. So that's one thing I would say.
I probably would say, first thing, find a mentor. Find somebody who's doing what you want to do and study them. They don't have to be like, because not everybody has at the ready an actual mentor physically in front of them. It can be someone online, someone that does celebrity, someone who does what you want to do and who does it well and does it in the same lane that you want to do, or at least embodies what you want to bring to the table. And figure out why people like them. Figure out, what it is about them that's endearing, and focus on that. But also, just like learn what they had to do in order to get to where they are. I'm still like I was very blessed to be able to be in the project management space. When I entered it specifically with Adam, I had very little experience in that space, I would say, per se. Like my skills were all over the place, and he actually saw that as the area that I needed to focus on, or at least that I would have great strengths in being able to master, just to try and have some focus on a lot of the strengths that I had going from marketing, branding, social media, consulting, brand consulting, business consulting, all those skills that kind of or can go lots of different ways, but focusing it specifically in the business sector. It was incredibly important to identify that as like the path that I wanted to take, and also to have someone who supported me in that and was able to teach me the ropes, basically. I would say that's the biggest thing, is find someone or just do the research in the field that you want to get in, and just spend as much time, because I'm still learning parts of project management, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to go that deep into it. Let's pivot. Let me find. Okay, I gotta find a class I need to take. I've been getting courses. I've downloaded so many different things, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning every single day. Different ways to be better at my job. You can never think that you're as good at it as you think you are. You need to always be learning and always be trying to find new opportunities to not only further the understanding that you have, but find experiences and understandings and explanations that are counter to what you believe. Because as much as you think you don't. So the more you learn, the more you research, the more time you spend really just trying to make sure that you put your own thoughts through the rigors, the more successful you'll be in whatever business endeavors you try to go through. So find a partner, be willing to do the research and take the time to prove yourself right and prove yourself wrong, and learn from there. That's the biggest thing I can say.
My G.
Yeah.
Fist bump.
One last thing. Invest in your motherfucking self.
Yeah.
Invest in your education. Spend money on that shit. And I say specifically spend money because there's only so much you're gonna get from YouTube. There's only so much you're gonna get from Instagram. There's only so much you need to spend money on that shit. And that's why I say put aside some money so that you can invest, even if it's not necessarily marketing, but just the money aside to specifically invest in yourself so that you don't have to. Your first year in business, you ain't gonna make money. Mm-hmm. Not at all. You shouldn't if you're doing it right? So you have to find a way to make sure that you can continuously invest in yourself, invest in your product, create your systems, and create your systems before you need to have them. Because if you try to build them shits as you go, it ain't gonna happen, Pimp. So I'm talking to this clock as if it's a person, and I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm sorry. Justice, how you doing?
I'm fine.
Back at it. God damn.
Well, that is a very interesting closing.
Anytime.
But I would like to thank you guys for coming in. You have just now heard Adam Hopkins and Victoria Griffin. They are the owner and partner of Moderndojo Branding and Design. Make sure that you go check them out at moderndojodesign.com. Their phone number is 314-764 7009, and they just explained the benefits of investing in yourself, finding a good partner, and marketing your business and your brand. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. I am Justice LaRue, and this is SableCast.